But I'm finding that, the one thing I can tell you with certainty is that I never thought that I would end up being a singer or focusing on singing, because I always prefer the writing aspect of it. But I think that after all of these years, singing, the voice is the only instrument that I feel comfortable enough saying, okay, I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist. Because with guitar, I'm like, I'm not that good. And with piano, I'm like, I'm not that. With everything else, I've been a bit mediocre, I have to say. But with the voice, like I'm so committed to it. So if you ask me, what do? I sing. I think I can summarize it as that.
Hola, hello, welcome, bienvenidos, ¿cómo estamos? My name is Marcelo Treviño, and this is El Composer Podcast, a show about creating tracks that tell inspiring stories. Today's guest, award-winning Mexican music producer, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and composer, who has amassed millions and millions of views on her music and live streams on YouTube, Twitch, and other media. She's contributed music and voice acting to multiple video games like Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 3, 4, and Cold War, Journey, the Banner Saga, The Elder Scrolls Online, Far Cry Primal, Lone Echo, and many, many more. Working or collaborating with other leading industry musicians and composers like Peter Hollens, Taylor Davis, Tina Guo, Austin Wintory, and more. She's also performed live at some of the most important video game events like Helio Global Championship, South by Southwest, the Game Awards, Video Games Live, Gamescom, and in many countries like Mexico and Argentina. You can find her new original album, I Follow the Moon, on all platforms, always accompanied by her trustworthy dog, Thor. I'm really honored and happy to welcome to our show today, Judith de Los Santos, Malukah.
Hello, I'm very honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very, very well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good, but it's very, once you get to like dig into your, we'll talk and say hi, but I have to say this before we start. Once you start digging into everything that you've done, it's very difficult to put together because there's so much stuff and I'm like, I'm just scratching the surface and I'm like, oh my God. And also I have to mention Gamescom and I have to mention Argentina. And I mean, there's so much there and I'm like so impressed because I knew most of the stuff, but not like in detail. So when I was like digging in, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Wow, that's amazing. I have to put that in. So my intro is like all over the place. So I guess I'm going to have to like edit it or something or re-record it. But congratulations on most of recent projects and projects from 9 years ago. So many questions for you. It's so cool to say hi to you today. How are you? First, because I know really cool things have happened in your life in the last months. How's it been?
It's been great. I think what you mean is my husband and I recently had a baby at the end of last year, and that has been an entire adventure in its own. It's it was a struggle getting used to it at first because it's so surprising and so many new things. But once we got the hang of it, it's just the most wonderful thing we've ever experienced, I think. And we're really enjoying it now.
Dante.
That's
Dante.
Right.
How is Thor?
Thor is doing very well. He's getting up there in old age, but he's doing very well, and he's had to relinquish his throne in our household for Dante.
Yes.
But
I was going to ask you what how they adapted to each other.
They are now super getting along very well. At first, Thor was kept his distance a bit, very respectful, very careful, not aggressive at all or anything, but. But now he continually licks Dante's hair and face, like whenever he can.
It's so cute. Yeah, at first they're like, who is this new person or this new thing that's here?
Yeah,
and it's like they're curious about it, but like careful. It's like, but yeah, they totally dethrone. That's the bad part of it. Because I mean, dogs are dogs, but babies are babies.
And I remember pre-baby, my husband and I would always say, like, could we love anybody more than we love Thor? I don't think so. Impossible.
It's impossible. Never.
And now it's like, oops.
Oops. Sorry, dude.
We can.
It's a different type of love.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Okay, that's a really cool transition for me to start talking about, because I want to talk with you about track building and production, and I'm a fan of everything that you do. But we can go into a song that you did for Dante, how that came about, and explain to us.
It's a song called Safe Asleep, and I wrote it before I was even pregnant. It was just like a way for me to try to come to try to understand what motherhood would be like, and what the joy and also the bittersweetness of it. Because I think that's all something my mom always made me very aware of, that it's not the great easy joy all the time, but it's a lot of challenges and everything. And so it was like a way for me to sit down and really think about it. And it's like, okay, is this what Diego and I want and everything? And so it turned into this song that I wrote, thinking like, if I have a son, this is what I would like to think and feel and once Dante was born, and it was just amazing to be able to release that song in his honor and with his picture and everything.
Wow, that's so cool. Did you have dreams about being a mom? Or first of all, I mean, pre-question, do you have dreams? Because people don't see stuff when they go to sleep. But sometimes... No, I know. I had more dreams when I was a kid. I have less dreams now. I still do. But do you have, like, can you see dreams, and did you ever have dream about being a mom?
I definitely dream a lot, and very absurd things. I just recently had a dream about a mop to clean.
Was it evil? Was it? No,
I purchased
just a mop.
I purchased the mop on Amazon, and I had a dream about it. But I like altered the design and improved it in my dream. It was ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, my whole life I've always had a lot of dreams, and so I guess that's why I assume that Dante will have them too.
Okay.
And I did dream several times that especially when I was pregnant, that I was a mom, but I would dream things like I left my kid in the restaurant, and I like really stressful things. Yeah. It was nothing like, I dreamed I was a mom and it was fabulous. No, it was like,
where's my kid? Have you seen my kid? Because I ask you that because for my first daughter, Nina, I had a dream that I was playing with like a 5-year-old on this big field, very cinematic, like very dramatic cinematic. I'm like, playing in the sunlight and stuff. So when my wife Marcela said, we're gonna have a baby. I mean, I'm super simplifying the experience, but we're gonna have a baby. I knew it was gonna be a girl. Like my whole body, my whole heart, my whole mind. I was like, it's gonna be a girl. She's like, come on. I'm like, I've dreamt about her. Like she's gonna be a girl.
That's amazing.
And I was to the point where like she was born, and like I knew. Like
I was like, I called it. Called it.
Yeah, I called it all the way. But then the way I knew that was very real. That feelings and things that you have in your subconscious or your mind was that the next 2 babies, I had no clue. I felt nothing if it was gonna be a girl or a boy. So I'm still like, I still have that banner of, I knew that, like I dreamt about it. I like put it in music and stuff that I knew she was going to be a girl.
Yeah.
So that's why I ask you if also you wrote this song, maybe preempting or seeing the future.
Hoping, I think.
Hoping.
Yeah.
Who worked on that song?
We recorded that song is from the album I Follow the Moon, and we recorded that here in Monterrey in a studio called Victoria Records.
Records.
Yeah. And Bucho, which you had a podcast episode with, Rodrigo, Bucho Monfort. He helped me produce it, and I brought in some players from Boston and New York, some folks that I went to Berkeley with. And it was Alex Knudsen on guitar, Ian Kagi on bass, Jack DeBow on drums, and I'm playing acoustic guitar and voice. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. It's so great that we were able to bring them here and have them be a part of the album, because they're people that I've known for many, many years. And they're the kind of people that, even though we haven't spoken very frequently since last seeing each other, when you talk, it's like no time has passed.
Yeah, like you pause the time, and then they were like good friendships. Was that one of the how many tracks for the album?
10 or 11 tracks. I can't remember right now.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit about your album, but I want to see, if you don't mind, I want to see if we could do a throwback on your life for anybody that's listening that's getting to know you through the podcast. Tell me about the Berkeley days, because we have that in common, and I don't think I've ever had a conversation with anybody who was also there. Yeah. I know you did also film scoring, which is and P&E. Music production engineering, which is amazing because I also did film scoring and I did songwriting. How was it for you? How did you end up deciding to go to Berkeley and I don't know, just a little bit about that stage in your artistic life?
I remember hearing about Berkeley and I actually went to a summer program, the 5-week program, if you remember.
I did that too. Yeah.
And what ended up happening is while I was there, I wrote a song. I was in my dorm room. Nobody had told me that in the dorms you needed to bring like a comforter and a pillow and everything. And I just arrived without anything. And so it's not like the bed, like a prison bed.
With just like the plastic.
Yeah. And so I ended up going to Ross or TJ Maxx. I don't know what was nearby that I just bought the cheapest comforter. And when I was trying to sleep at night with the plasticky smell, I ended up going to a practice room. And so I wrote a song about missing my blanket and a song called Homesick Insomniac. And so what ended up, that was, I think, the first song that I finished. I'd always written a little, bits and pieces here since I was like 15. But that was the first finished song. And it turned out that was a time when a producer named Ricardo Cortés was at Berkeley as well. And he helped me. I knew him because of my sister, and he helped me record the song. And that's when I found out that music production and engineering existed, the being able to record something. And it was at a time when it was becoming more and more possible to record at home. And so we recorded at Ricardo's place. And I became completely enamored with the process of recording and the fact that I had written a song and now it was recorded and it was produced and it had drums and piano and all these things. Yeah. And I was like, I want that.
That's exactly what I want to do. And then so you enrolled right after that, or how did it work?
Well, I got home to Monterrey and I was like, Father, I must go to college in Boston, in Berkeley. And my dad was like, no, study something else first, graduate, get something reliable. And then I will support you and you can go study whatever else you want. And so that was it. And I was like, and then I found out about the whole film score. I'm a big fan of John Williams and all, movie scores. And I also became I was I think at first even more curious about film scoring. I wanted to be a film scorer. And I got to compose a score for a final project of the tech of my sister's college in Monterrey. And I scored the project and they premiered it at a indie cinema in the city. And when we went there with my parents and afterwards, I did the score as I could. I don't think it was even Digital Performer. It was Audio Desk or the one previous to the software previous to Digital Performer.
Yeah, Studio Vision or one of those guys.
Like super clumsy. I couldn't even hook up the MIDI. It was just straight audio because I couldn't figure out how to do it any better. But it turned out very well for what it was. And when the teacher from the project approached us and told my parents like, oh, we're really impressed with the score. We'd never had such a well done score. And I was like, this is when I ask again. I was like, Father,
this is the moment.
Yeah. And my dad and I had thought about engineering as well. And I saw that I could do a dual major of film scoring and engineering. And I was like, Father, I could do both things. And I can be an engineer like you, Father. It's very reliable.
Oh, that's very smart of you.
And my dad is like, no, you study something first and I'll support you. And I was like, if I study something first, it's going to take me 4 years. The only thing that means is that I'm going to be 4 years behind everybody else my age.
That's true.
It's like, don't make me waste time. I was very stubborn about it. And I luckily got to go and I went to study those two majors. And a funny thing happened once I was there. I kept writing more songs and recording and producing. And I started losing a bit of interest in the film scoring aspect of it. I did study the major. It was really fun to learn all the things like the pops and streams and the clicks and all the things and all the sessions. It's great to experience it. But I knew when I started those those classes that my heart was no longer in it the way it was, that the way I thought it was. I initially wanted to be the next John Williams, but by the time I got to that, I was more in love with producing and songwriting. Like a shorter format, I think is better for. It holds
shorter
my interest more than developing themes over time.
Right. And the video game, you were also a gamer all your life. How is that incorporated into your artistic?
I used to play a lot when I was a kid. Like I think like a lot of us with the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, etc. And then I focused on music for a lot of years as a hobby. And video games actually came back into my life once I had graduated from college because I didn't have a job. And I needed something to avoid reality. And so I started playing again and absolutely fell back in love with it and just started working with an indie company in Monterrey called Alebrije Studios. And they were an indie game company. And so that involved me more in, like, got my head in the video game world. And once there was a very popular game that was very highly anticipated. And when it came out, it had a very pretty song that I made a cover of. And my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, sent it to a podcast in IGN. And they loved it, and they played it at the end of the podcast and posted made a post about it on their site. And that site has millions of visits, and it just went viral from there. And so that's how I entered the video game world.
That's the Dragonborn comes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you react to that video going viral and understanding what that meant at that time? Because I think 9 years ago, is it 9 years ago now or
2011? 8? I think it's 10. 10?
10? Okay. Wow.
Almost 10.
Okay. Time moves fast. 10 years ago, how did you understand or wrap your brain around what that meant at that time?
I think at first I felt very, very afraid, very threatened as it was happening, because I kept waiting for something awful to happen because the internet, you have nice people, then you have some not very nice people. And so the response was very positive at first, mostly. I kept waiting for the tides to turn and for everybody to be like, oh, this is horrible, worst human ever or something. And so I was very afraid of that. And it
like
was
a backlash thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was very intense because especially the first, I think, 3 days, you would refresh the page. And it's like more, comment after comment. It was like, it was impossible to understand, really.
Okay.
And I at that time, I don't know. I felt very shy. I didn't ever think that I would have a career focused on performance. I always thought that I was going to be working more on the writing or production side of it,
on the behind the scenes.
And so I did feel very exposed, and I was like, I'm not sure if I like this. And it took me quite some time to warm up to the idea
of playing live or being in front of the camera.
Of being in front of the camera.
Okay.
It was quite a shift. I never expected that to happen, and I never expected to be a singer.
When did you get like on stage and comfortable on stage? I mean, we're in that regard for like shows or. Did you do a lot of performing? You played drums, right?
Yeah.
And you played on stage, but like not like at massive events. When did you have that transition?
I think that I was invited to, first of all, to South by Southwest, just a little, a food truck event that had a little platform. And so it wasn't like that many people. So I got to perform there. And then I was also invited to play on the Halo Championship, Global Championship concert. And that was another experience with the crowd. But it was always like these isolated events that kept making it very stressful to deal with the stage fright, because it was once every 6 months.
Oh, right. So you kind of felt like you had to start over, maybe? Your comfort is like, oh, you don't get used to being on stage.
Exactly.
Because it's so far apart from each other.
Exactly. And so you had
What am I saying? You just explained. I'm just repeating what you're saying.
It's okay. So the events were spread so far apart that it couldn't really help me be more comfortable with it. Right. I got through it, thankfully. And I did enjoy the experience. After the fear of preparing, that once the performances happened. It was a lot of fun and something I'm very glad I did. But I did chicken out of some invitations to perform because I just thought like I'm gonna break. I can't do this.
Okay.
But eventually, what I ended up doing that really helped a lot. Here's a tip for anybody who has stage fright: is I stumbled upon Twitch because Twitch was very famous for gaming. Gamers would play in the live stream, but also some musicians started joining, and so every week they would live stream and sing. And so I did that, and it was horrifying at first, but after a while, it got better, and that changed my whole perspective on live performance and completely, well, not completely, but greatly removed my fear of it.
No, I'm a fan, and on your long run, on how many years was it on Twitch?
3 years on Twitch, I believe.
3 years on Twitch. I have a surprise for you, like a quick surprise for you, and I want to see if we can talk a little bit to somebody here who has just joined us. Hello, Rodrigo Bucho Monfort. Are you there?
¿Qué onda? Bueno.
Sí, we can hear you. ¿Cómo estás?
You hear me? Okay.
This is Rodrigo Monfort.
¿Qué onda, Buch?
We have a surprise guest for you here.
Me siento como en Ellen. Voy a llorar.
I wanted to bring in Bucho Rodrigo Monfort to say hi quickly and talk about your album. Bucho has been one of my best friends and mentors, and I think you might feel a little bit of the same in that regard. So I just wanted. We're speaking English, Bucho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're doing that. Okay.
Just so you know. Welcome, Rodrigo Bucho Monfort, producer, songwriter, and composer. You can listen to his second episode podcast with us here today with Malukah. How was it? How did you guys?
I want to say something first because I heard the episode that you guys recorded for your podcast, Marcelo, and Bucho was mentioning how for him seeing the producer we were talking about, Ricardo Cortez, seeing him perform on drums really inspired him to be a musician and go in that direction. And I want to say Bucho is my Rich. Like Bucho inspired me. And so I heard that and I was like, oh my God, it's like history repeating itself.
Yeah. Because we had that with Ricardo Cortez, Bucho and I, for both of us, a huge influence. And then at Berkeley, you had a chance to record your first song. So we're all connected in that way.
Yeah.
But tell me how you guys approached each other and planned that album, and how did it go?
I've always been a fan of Bucho. I absolutely love the album that he made with his own songs. Been a fan of that for years and years.
Me too.
And when the time came to pick somebody to help with record the album, I immediately thought of him. I originally thought I had made demos of most of the songs that were pretty specific, and that's what we were going to try to record with the band. And so, I need somebody to help on the engineering end, and I think that is the best possible thing that could have happened. I texted Bucho and I'm like, Bucho, do you remember me? Would you like to work on this? And I was so happy that he said yes. And I think the reason why I like that album so much is because Bucho had such a great and important part in it, because he not only ended up recording it, but also helping a lot with the production of it. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself and for the rest of the musicians, we were just so thankful to have him there, because it completely made the experience flow and the inspiration flow. So it was fantastic. I don't know how you feel, Bucho. We loved you.
It was an absolute pleasure for me. And please excuse my English. I'm not used to doing this. But yeah, I really loved being involved in such a beautiful project, because I really love the songs. And I've always had a lot of respect for you as a songwriter. So I really enjoyed the whole experience. It was a very, very cool environment to work in because of you and also your musician friends. They were really nice and up to try anything. They were really generous with their musicianship. And I think that shows in the songs, and I really enjoyed working in it. I really did. Yeah, it was very nice. And also, well, I don't know. I mean, it was a lovely experience overall.
That's awesome. But you guys start with, did you record your demos at home and then send them over? You record in Logic, right?
Yeah,
Malukah?
I record in Logic and ended up, I did the best I could with the demos. I do know how to play several instruments, but not all of them very well. So I did the best to get the tracks to sound as well as I could, knowing that once the musicians stepped in, they always, having musicians that are each true to their instrument is always such an improvement. And so, yeah, I had that, and I had the string arrangements and everything. And I think what we ended up working a lot on was really polishing those ideas and working to find the right sounds. And I think that is something that I would never have been able to do if I had been the only one working on this project.
It helps so much to bounce off ideas.
Exactly.
From
and I think
everybody.
Bucho's expertise with sounds and instruments and wait, tune this a little like low, a little higher, like all those details, different kind of amps, how do you mic them, all specifics of things that maybe at some point in time I learned but never really learned. So it was fantastic.
Or did enough of
exactly. It was fantastic to have that whole experience and the way that he thinks and the way that he solves problems is a fantastic asset, I think, to have in the studio.
How did you build the tracks with Malukah, Bucho? What did you start with in terms of production? Did you grab any of the tracks?
Actually, I mean, this was only experience I ever had with somebody that works as organized as she is. It was mind-blowing. She had like, what's the word? Carpetas?
Binders.
She had
folders, binders.
But she had like a bunch of binders, sheet music for each musician, like charts, like even an itinerary for what we were doing all the days we were going to be there, the lyrics and copies for everyone. It was absolutely... She did a lot of prep work. I mean, I've never seen anybody as professional in that end.
Nice.
But and also the demos were all completely fleshed out. I mean, she had like all the sample library sounds already there, and like mock-ups for the string arrangements already there. She had the sheet music. She had everything actually. So
when Malukah says I did the best I could, that means
being extremely humble.
Yeah, she's really like underplaying it, right? She's like taking it, like being really modest, I guess.
Extremely modest.
No, you're gonna get me in trouble with Diego. Right before the podcast, he told me, Malukah, don't be modest.
But that's amazing. That's amazing to have so much prep and your ideas all like clear and fleshed out, because it helps with making the process run along, right? Flow better.
And what I really like about that is that you make, like for the demos, I make something that I like, and then people make it even better and even better than I could ever imagine. And so that's one of the advantages of bringing people in, because sometimes you don't want to like relinquish control if they what if they change something, but in a lot of in a lot of cases the changes are good, the shifts and the adjustments are fantastic, and they completely make you sound even more professional than you could ever get to sound on your own.
Yeah, that happens. I guess Bucho has seen this also happen in the studio so much that you're like, well, okay, I have this. Let's just see what happens with this musician. And if it's better, I will leave it. But I still have this thing that I recorded and it works okay. And like 95% of the time, like, oh, that's much better than when somebody comes in and like actually does its human thing with their talent. Yeah. It's like,
and I think it was a very positive experience for me. And I've been working on my own at home for years and years and years. Let's not count how many, but many years. And for me, it was just proof that we need to reach outside of ourselves if we do want to keep growing and learning, because for me, it was such an inspiration to be in the studio with Bucho and with Alex and Jack and Ian, and to be, to see just how incredible things can be when you involve others. And, in the past, I might have seen Bucho work and I was like, I need to learn everything Bucho knows. And then I need to be better than Bucho. And right now it's like, no, I'll call Bucho. I'll hire Bucho. Let him do.
I just gotta say, like all the musicians like really cared for the project, really were into the songs, and really try to put their best on tape, and it was a really cool experience getting to know them and working with them. I really enjoyed it, and overall I think it was a great team. And like you were saying before, whenever you give like an outside human touch to your songs, they come alive in ways you didn't expect. So that's a really nice surprise for all of us involved, I think.
I saw pictures of you guys when you were finishing the recording, like those soccer pics where those team where everybody was hugging and stuff, and you all looked super, super happy.
It was incredible.
Like it was, I guess it was like a great. How long did it take to do the album at Victoria Records?
We recorded for a week. We had a week.
Okay.
That was, I think, I wish we'd had like 2 or 3, because it was just such a fun time. We would have long days and be done like at 10 at night or something. I'd be so full of energy and so full of joy. And I just couldn't wait for the next day. Yeah. And what you have to keep in mind is that I hadn't seen these guys like in 10 years. Jack and Alex and Ian.
Yeah.
And so to me, when I invited them over and booked their flights and everything, I was like, I hope this is as good as I hope that the friendship is as good as I remember. And indeed it was. And like I mentioned before, that it was like no time had passed. And because they're just wonderful people, and Bucho can attest to that they're amazing.
They're amazing people and amazing musicians. It was really nice having them around. And I didn't know them personally, and I really enjoyed my time with them.
But I get it that you haven't seen them in so long, and when they get there, it's like, let's work, because you only have like a week. So then you want to hang out, but you also need to track a lot of things. Was that something also that happened?
Yeah, no, I think that if I could have had them here stay for 2 weeks and then have, to be able to take a bit more time and to hang out as well, I would have loved that very much. But I think we unfortunately had to work as fast as we could.
What are some of the concepts behind and the themes behind the album? In general, what you guys talk about in terms of songwriting and lyrics and production? I mean, the meaning behind some of the songs. Is there an album, a story, or like the old days, or is it more of a single based thing with the album? I think that was a weird question, but
no, it's actually a perfect question, because the collection of songs that ended up on the album were songs that I had been gathering for years and years. They were all written over the last decade, I would say. And I always felt I wanted to record a second album, because I had recorded one back in the day, but I always saw the songs and I was like, they're so disjointed. Even my first album was called All of the Above, because I could not pick a genre. There were some rock songs and some singer-songwriter songs. And so this album kind of felt the same. It's a bit of all over the place. But then once I put the songs together, once I started listening to the demos in order, I was like, this is actually kind of perfect for me. It's a good depiction of what my life has been like in the last 10 years. And so it's a lot of themes of heartbreak and love and family. And so there's not really a theme that I can say like, this is about Halloween, but it's,
but it's stories from your life.
Exactly.
Most of them. Okay. Yeah. How about you, Bucho? How did you see?
Well, a while ago, before I interrupted Judith, I was going to talk a bit more about the process, because we were saying about the week we spent at Victoria, but Judith did an amazing work, because we only laid out the basic tracks like guitar, drums, and bass, some of piano, but then Judith went to her home and she tracked the vocals for all the songs, and she did a bunch of editing, and then she even did like some sample rate conversion of the songs. That it was a little bit of a headache for all of us, but it worked nicely. So I just wanted to add that she's a very talented producer. So she did a lot of the work by herself, and then when she had everything gathered, then we came into my studio and did the mix. But besides that week working with those guys, she worked on her own, like, I don't know, maybe a week and a half or what was it?
I think, yeah.
Couple of weeks, yeah.
I mean, Malukah, you've done editing for vocal editing for projects too.
Yes,
so you know your way around of doing vocals, right? Producing vocals.
That has been one of my favorite discoveries in recent years. That I really, really love editing. And specifically, I love editing vocals because I do like to sing, and I love being able to have my tracks be as clean as possible and be able to handle that all on my own. So yeah, I have been hired on several of the Call of Duty games. They sometimes release songs performed by other people, and they send me the vocal tracks, and I get to like clean them up, and I love like crossfades. And
yes, you go into a zone, right? You go into a zone.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's fantastic to be able to take that experience and then apply it to my own music as well, because it does make it's something I really enjoy, and it's very efficient. Like Bucho says, that I can just hand over the tracks and not have them be as much of a headache as they would have been if I didn't know.
If you, I can't wait to listen to. I haven't had a chance to listen to the album, but I only found one song on Spotify. Is the whole album there?
Yeah, the whole album should be on there.
Okay, I need to deep
dive.
Deep dive. But combining, because every time I want to do vocal stuff, I talk to Bucho, because he in terms of harmony and recording and fine tuning and stuff, he's like on another level. So combining you guys in terms of vocals, it's amazing to see. I want to hear what you guys did in that regard. Well, congratulations on the album. Bucho, anything else you want to share that happened with the album or your experience?
No, I was just gonna say that, like, on this album, she did 100% of the vocal work, like the harmonies and all that, which are amazing, by the way. She did on her own. So we didn't get to work on that part, but we worked on the arrangement and on the mix and the sounds,
Wow!
But she did all the vocal work.
I can't wait for you guys to get together and do harmonies.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Bucho, when do we record the next one?
Yeah, whenever you say I'm ready.
I'll get my binders ready.
I'm free all this afternoon. Like, come over.
I haven't written songs, and all I have been singing lately is "If you're happy and clap your hands."
Yes, I know, but it's a good how do you call it when you set your goal?
Yeah,
a good point of reference to be like, let's do another one, and then you can set a goal to write a song a day. Maybe like one a week and stuff, and then in like a few months you can
hopefully it won't take another decade. I'm a bit of a slow writer, but I hope it won't take that long.
Well, you guys, I want to thank you. It was really cool to talk to both of you, and Malukah, thank you so much for this time. There is so much that we could talk with you about. I'm sharing this with Bucho. Before you were here, I was telling Malukah that I went through all of her curriculum and the IMDb's, and it's just, there's so much there that you can have like 4 or 5 hours of just different topics in terms of everything that she's done and everything that she's composed and worked. But it's amazing. Really, thank you for sharing your time with us at the show. There are thousands of fans that see you on streaming and listen to your music, and it's really cool to just listen to you talk about that, and just thank you so much for being here in the show. Anything else you want to share with us? There's so much information in my head that I can't really
I don't blame you. When somebody asks me, what do you do? I'm like,
Okay, so it's not just me, right?
No. It's a problem that I have as well, because just life, the way life has worked, it has taken me in several different directions until I'm kind of finding what I'm comfortable with.
Okay, yeah. Because there's your streaming world, which is really important, and you're doing it on YouTube now.
Yeah,
and,
what I've done for now, the streaming aspect of it, I've reduced to streaming about once a month, because streaming weekly was a lot of fun, but it is a commitment. And right now, I think I'd rather be a mom for a bit.
But you had a Discord server, and it was a lot of activity, right? There was a lot of work behind that.
A lot of fun, but like you say, a lot of work, and you had to deal with moderation and all of these elements that right now is perhaps not the right time for me. Right. But I'm finding that, the one thing I can tell you with certainty is that I never thought that I would end up being a singer or focusing on singing, because I always prefer the writing aspect of it. But I think that after all of these years, singing, the voice, is the only instrument that I feel comfortable enough saying, okay, I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist. Because with guitar, I'm like, I'm not that good. And with piano, I'm like, I'm not that. With everything else, I've been a bit mediocre, I have to say. But with the voice, like I'm so committed to it. So if you ask me, what do? I sing. I think I can summarize it as that.
That's beautiful, and it helps me so much. So I was worried, and throughout the whole interview, I'm like, because usually I'm like, oh, you wrote music for this film, and you can talk about that for a little bit. But with you, I have so many things in my head, and I just thank you so much for
clarifying
letting me
that.
Off the hook. Yeah, letting me off the hook with just in my mind with you, and for sharing everything with us. Congratulations on Dante.
You.
Say hi to Thor for us.
I will.
And I will be adding all of the links that I can on the description for the show. Anything else you guys like to share? Thank you for everyone that's listening. Thank you, Malukah, for your time today. Anything else you'd like to share with us before we go out?
I'm really enjoying all the episodes that you're doing with everybody else, and I look forward to continuing to listen to all the interviews in the future.
Oh, nice. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucho.
Thank you for the invitation, and congratulations, Malukah, on your motherhood and on your great commitment to the things that you're doing. So really enjoyed talking to you this time, and also thanks, Marcelo, for the invitation.
No, thank you, guys. Well, that's it. That's our show. Pero thank you very much for everyone listening, and thank you, Malukah, for your time. And bye-bye.